Welcome back on in, everybody, to a gambling edition of the Strictly NFL podcast. I'm joined by, as always, Desmond, my co-host, and this week we've
What's
got
up?
Shwin, who you all know from our numerous other pods on the Strickland, and our tape breakdown guy, Luca, who's been on here a couple times as well. So you all know our two guests over here. And we're going to be covering all of our season plays. Maybe we'll get to week one plays at the end of this as well. But before we jump into all of that, we just want to say that BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. If you think you know your stuff, you can get in on their $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for a chance at weekly prizes and a share of that $200,000. Then when the game is over, you can head over to the online casino and get in on games of blackjack, poker, or over 150 slot games. So head over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. And I believe our code is capital BLEAV, all caps, for a 50% deposit match. So there we go with that. Remember, those listening as a preview on YouTube and Spotify and whatever podcast platform you're listening on, this is only going to be a portion of what we talk about. We're going to be talking about a lot more stuff past whatever minute mark we have on here. So you can go over there and look at what tier you want to subscribe to. The rest of this podcast is behind our $9 tier. And then there's numerous other benefits for every other tier that we have offered over there. So you can head over to our Patreon at the Strickland over there. And without further ado, we'll get it started. I'm going to pass the rock to Shwin to start us off first.
All right. Here's a bet that I like, and people familiar with my allegiances may be surprised at this. I like the Jets over plus 11.5. That's our alternate line. The actual line is 9.5, which I already have. I have 9.5, I have 10.5, and I have 11.5 on the Jets. I don't really get this line. I don't get why it opened at 9.5, considering Vegas also has them favored in 14 games. Like, I just don't get anything about that, which is why it's like, I mean, the juice on that now is fucking awful. So yeah, I mean, you're not getting money on that, but over 11.5 wins is plus 190. Like, again, they're favored in 14. So something is up here. And while in my heart of hearts, I would love for it to be that Vegas just knows something about the Jets that we don't, like Aaron Rodgers is actually about to, I don't know,
Lose his other Achilles.
like assassinate RFK Jr. and take his spot. I don't really. I just don't really. I don't see how this. I'd be shocked. Like, I'd really be shocked if they don't. I mean, if they don't cover 9.5. I don't even know what to say. I'd probably do a little trolling. If they don't cover 10.5, I'd be really surprised. If they don't cover 11.5, I'd still be surprised. And that's 2 wins above the original line they opened at. I don't get this one. I like them to win the division. I have that too. I took that. Maybe I took that before Matt Milano was initially ruled out. Who knows? But yeah, I took that then, and it's at plus 165 now. I got that when it was at plus 175, a little bit before that injury was officially announced to all the peasants of the world. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. I think this team, like, you look at their schedule, it's pretty favorable after the first 5 or 6 weeks. Although, to counter my disgusting Jets optimism, I do like the Niners in week 1 to cover. I actually took that when that line opened initially. That was at 2.5. I think that was at 2.5 because they weren't sure what the hell was going on with Trent Williams and Brendan Ayuk. Both of the big boys are back, and it is now 4.5. So I don't actually know how I would play that at 4.5. I think I'd probably take the Jets, but you can still find it at 2.5 somewhere. Take that one. Take the Niners 2.5, not the Jets plus 4.5. Yeah, Jets plus 4.5 maybe. I don't know. But Niners minus 2.5. I thought that was a crazy line, and I'll tell you why. I don't think it's a good line because I think the Jets are going to, like I said, I think the Jets are going to have a really good season. I don't love Aaron Rodgers to start the season. I don't care how good he's looked in training camp. I don't care how fucking good he's looked out with the pads on, without pads. I don't care about any of that stuff because I heard all that same bullshit last year. And yes, He came out, and unfortunately, he ruptured his Achilles. And it's one drive, but he did not look good on that drive. You know why? Because it's very, very hard to not play football and then just immediately go back into like, okay, so now everybody can try to kill you. Just remember that while you're out there, buddy. And he is not. So he didn't play all of last season. Basically, he didn't play in preseason last year. He obviously has not played in preseason this year again. I just don't like. I don't care how stacked their defense is. I don't care how good Garrett Wilson looks. I do not like that in opening week against a Niners team that honestly might come into this game feeling like, why is nobody talking about us? Like, other than guys needing contracts, like everybody's just talking about, the fucking Jets and Aaron Rodgers and how great and amazing everybody on this team is. I think you got guys on that Niners defense that will have points to prove. Look, the Jets defense deservedly is getting a lot of hype and praise. That Niners unit's been really good for a long time. I think there are guys that are going to want to make a point. I like their motivation for this week. I don't know. I just like the spot for them. Not a big criticism of the Jets, unfortunately. I wish it was. I just like the Niners in that spot.
Yeah, I think I like the Niners a lot this week, and that's even with like the drama they've had going on. Like, I think the Jets are just, when you have so many moving parts being added in an offseason, where you still have turmoil with Hassan Reddick, and say what you want about Rodgers, he might not want to cause a circus, but he does cause a circus. That's just the reality of things. So when you have all that stuff going into play, I think they probably are not ready to play week one against the team that has a championship pedigree, like the Niners. Haven't been to whatever it is, 2 Super Bowls in 5 years or something like that.
By the way, we should mention we are using DraftKings for this exercise.
Sure. Yes.
Even though BetOnline is the best betting platform.
It's far superior to DraftKings, actually. It's shameful, actually, that we're using DraftKings. I think that I like the Jaguars under 8.5.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Okay.
And when I initially saw this line, I thought to myself, I think the Jaguars can win 9 games. Like that feels kind of like a gimme to me. Trevor Lawrence is somebody who I still believe in a lot.
I know. I had their over last year. I had that, yeah.
And they also have the East this year, right? They have the NFC East.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Giants are going to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, they brought in Brian Thomas. Trevor Lawrence is, I think he had a lot of bad luck last year with people not getting their feet in bounds and stuff like that. A lot of close games. So I was like, let me go see what their schedule looks like. And they start off at Miami, against the Browns, at Buffalo, at Houston, and then they have a divisional game where the Colts come to Jacksonville, and then at Chicago. And as I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the Chicago ones, that's a bad one to finish the season with. It's like bad as a.
This is the first 6.
First 6? I just don't like playing Chicago at all this year, just because they have so much juice.
Chicago has an explosive team this year, and I think their line's going to be right. And quite frankly, I just don't love what the Jaguars have done on defense too with a lot of their stuff. Like, I don't think this is a team that can particularly lean on either side of the ball.
They signed what's his name from the Niners, right?
Armstead? No, I think
he went to Jacksonville.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big pickup for them. But the back end of that defense is still pretty mediocre.
That was my holdup with them.
Yeah. This is just a Lawrence thing, right? Like, can we just isn't that at some point are we just allowed to be like, hey, so remember when you were supposed to be the generational quarterback? Like, do you want to do some of the generational stuff now? Like, I don't know. Like, he's just been hanging out there. He got fucking paid this summer. I feel like if you like Trevor Lawrence, you should hit the over. If you're a Trevor Lawrence non-believer, the under has a little bit more juice. Like you're getting plus 100 on the under. So most of the action's going to the over here. I tend to be agree with you. I think they're lucky to get a split with Indianapolis. I think the Texans smoked them twice.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. And then who's the fourth team in that division? Why am I blanking?
The Titans.
Yeah, and I think the Titans are I don't love their offseason. I don't like for different reasons, but they'll be better this. They're going to be legit okay this year. Yeah, I don't know. 2-4 in that division for Jacksonville doesn't seem out of the question. I don't even think 1-5 is that outrageous. Like you just have a bad couple weeks or something, and you're 1-5. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I don't love. I wouldn't touch the over. I'm not a huge Lawrence believer.
And I don't even know if their offense didn't change, right? Like you get Brian Thomas, obviously, but you're replacing Ridley with Gabe Davis, who I think is, I don't know if he's worse. Well, Shwin, you obviously have your own opinion, but he's
Mr.
definitely
Reliable.
more limited, Mr. Reliable, but only in the playoffs. No, definitely more limited.
Gabe Davis is he'll get 4 catches, and they'll be touchdowns, or he'll get you no catches. That's it. There's no 10 catch. Oh, but no, it's just.
I just love Gabe Davis for giving me a huge sell window in my dynasty leagues. I want to thank him for his service with that.
No, I think Ridley's probably better for this offense and for Lawrence than Gabe Davis is. Brian Thomas is a big addition, but you look at the rest of that receiver room, and it's Christian Kirk, and then Parker Washington and Devin Duvernay. So one guy goes down, and you're looking at probably a bottom 5 receiver room in the league. I just don't love his weapons. I think Lawrence is somebody who, not that he can't make throws to mediocre players, but I think he benefits a lot from having good weapons. Usually, we don't know if Ingram's going to replicate what he did last year. He just came off an incredible year. I just don't think you can depend on the offense for consistency, to be honest. And like Kon said, neither side of the ball I'm super confident in.
One thing I will say is my good pal, not Gabe Davis, but my other good pal, Mitch Morse, joined this team this offseason. And I think he's a really good addition for them. He's an experienced center. To me, their run game last year was very, very dependent on ETN figuring shit out. I'm not saying Mitch Morse is not, he's not like fucking Kevin Mawai or something, but he's a really good starting center, and
he's not like me back in the day.
Yeah, he's not like Kon back in elementary school.
Yeah.
But he's a good center. He's a good pulling center, which I think favors ETN because he likes to bounce outside. So you can do a lot of cool pin and pull stuff with him. I think that benefits ETN's run game. And I don't know. A lot of this is also, it's like Lawrence. Then there are times Doug Peterson, I'm like, man, he's killing it. And then they get inside the red zone, and then his brain turns into mush. And I'm like, what are these play calls? What's happening here? But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm probably a little bit higher on the offensive talent than Luca, but a lot of that is also I think Brian Thomas has a chance to just come in and be a difference maker. Maybe not I'm not saying he's going to come in and have a 1,200-yard season, but I think he can come in and change kind of how defenses have to cover them, which opens up stuff for other guys. But yeah, I mean, the defense to me is just so I like Houston way more in this division. That's 2 wins to me for Houston. I don't think that's really, they're in different weight classes.
Yeah.
And I think Indianapolis, I just like Steichen more as a coach in 2024 than Doug Peterson. And I think their defense is in a better place, even though the Colts defense itself has a lot of questions. But they actually have a true blue chip guy on that defense. Kenny Moore is probably the best. He's one of the top 3 slot corners in the league. And they still have Kwity Paye and these guys. Their defensive line is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. And then Anthony Richardson still got a little we don't know. He obviously showed some flashes last year. We played 4 games, so we don't know what condition he's in. Their wide receiver room is pretty solid to me. Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
And then again, I just trust Shane Steichen. He really should have gotten to the playoffs last year with Gardner fucking Minshew.
Hey. Respect Pro Bowl quarterback Gardner motherfucking Minshew.
Unironic, Minshew is the modern day Ryan Fitzpatrick. I enjoy him.
Damn right.
But he's never had a winning record before as a quarterback in a season until last year. But Steichen, they're what? They're basically a dropped pass away by their receiver or by their running back from getting into the playoffs. Yeah, so to me, I just trust Steichen pretty substantially. We also saw the drop off in Philly last year without him, and then like again, like I don't know. Why do I think the Texans are incapable? Or sorry, not the Texans. The Titans are incapable of splitting with the Jaguars. Like that feels very, very much in the ballpark. And I don't love a lot of what the Titans did long term in terms of like how it affects their long term future. But for next year, like this upcoming season, they're clearly way more competitive than they were last year. And Jacksonville, I'm kind of like they kind of blew their load the past summer when they did sign Christian Kirk and other guys. They spent a little money this year too, but like they didn't really substantially upgrade their roster. Like Armstead's the one guy I think you could talk about in free agency that they spent money on, but he's going to be hurt half the fucking year too. So I don't know.
So I think what it came down to for me, and the reason why I took their under and why I'm going to take this other team's over that you brought up already, is the Colts, I think, are just a better version, or not so much a better version, but they're a much better all around team. And I think the strength of their defense being in the middle with DeForest Buckner, who's the better of the two San Francisco D tackles, who's gotten out of there. Then you got like EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin, Julian Blackman, who I believe is coming off of an Achilles tear.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And then, like you said, Kenny Moore. I think there's a lot more on this defense to lean on. You throw in Grover Stewart, you throw in Kwity Paye. Then
Blackman's really good. He's just always hurt. If he can ever stay healthy, he's like a really good safety.
And then they had Bernard Raymond, who came in last year and had a pretty good season. So I think the line play is somewhat equal. And I'm always going to give Quentin Nelson more credit than he probably might, should be getting based off of his last couple seasons. But they also have three receivers who are really good, just like the Jaguars do. But I think Michael Pittman is probably the best guy right now, presently, out of all six of them. You're taking the three guys from the Colts room, three guys from the Jaguars room. Pittman's probably the best one. Taylor's probably better than ETN. Anthony Richardson is like Cam Newton reincarnated in almost every sense imaginable. Like that guy running football
That's
is awesome.
A
take, sure. Shwin looks like he wants to kill me right now.
Cam Newton reincarnated is setting the bar pretty high.
I think he'll get there, and then with their schedule, I think they get a lot of the matchups that the Jaguars get that I don't like getting the Bears in Chicago in Week 6. The Colts get them Indianapolis Week 3, a lot earlier, at home, right? Like I have a lot more faith in them to win the two games against Tennessee than I think the Jaguars do.
I like the Colts against the Steelers too.
I like the Colts against the Steelers. I like them playing at Denver, I believe that is Week 14. I didn't see Denver on the schedule for Jacksonville, and then they're going to close at New York, and then Jacksonville's going to Indianapolis.
Specifically, the Giants of New York.
Yes, Giants, New York. Yes. So, if that game, that last week game, Jaguars Colts in Indy is the swing game, I think the Colts are winning it. And I think that game is something that I looked at as I like having that in my back pocket.
So the under here is -130 on the Colts. Plus the over is +110. So
yeah, that's
you're
also
going against the conventional wisdom here.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's not bad. 8.5 is I wouldn't say that's my favorite line, but I can see them winning 9 games. They're a good team, and again, I like Steichen a lot.
If nobody has anything else, I might jump in with some Seahawks talk.
Hold on. I want to give my last one. I got a prop here. You can call me a homer. You can call me a dick rider. I'm looking at the win totals on the year here.
Please say.
And I see the Giants here sitting at 6.5 wins here. I'm taking the fucking over, man.
Going over on them.
I was looking at that.
It's so hard to judge, as we were talking on the last episode, to judge what the Giants could be. But there are so many things that could just click really well with this team to where I'm looking at that 6.5 wins, that is free money. but my God, there are a lot of things that could go wrong.
I mean, they can start 2-0 pretty easily.
Oh, for sure.
That's the thing.
Yeah. It's
Because
the
what is it?
Vikings,
It's Minnesota
no
and
McCarthy,
Washington, right?
and
Yes.
it's Washington.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, dude. And then getting the news today that Brian Dable is going to be taking over the play calling is huge in my opinion.
Is Kafka just getting checks now? Like, what's
pretty much
He got a
They got him in the cuck chair, bro.
I was just going to fucking say that.
He got a cool he got a promotion this offseason as like assistant head coach or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
he's got a headset.
Assistant.
Yeah, he got a cool headset and a play sheet, and now he's just out of the way.
He gets a
They're just-
headset,
they're
a
just-
chair,
just-
and a free check.
They're just like, be there in the box, bro. They're gonna put the camera on you sometimes. Look engaged.
Point at stuff on your tablet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like sometimes if you want to scream into the mic, like sure.
Yeah, do a Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, look, I
But-
didn't want to do it because I got burnt last year, and I said on the pod I was going to take the Giants over. But if you look down further, we have the Commanders again. I think home or away, we have to sweep the Commanders.
Oh,
If-
for sure.
Please.
Do you have
Covered
the
to
Panthers?
get to 7 wins, you have to sweep the Commanders.
Yes, I agree. You have the Panthers, you have the Saints coming to New York. Those 4, in addition to the first game that we talked about, is 5 wins that I think have to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about maybe you steal a game from the Steelers, maybe you steal that game from the Colts that we talked about.
I'm seeing the Browns.
And
I'm
that's where like
seeing
those like if
Saints.
these things click right, that like we can beat teams like the Steelers or teams like the what we got here? Like the
Beat the
Falcons.
Saints
If
or
things
the
click, we
Falcons.
can beat the Falcons, man.
I'm very high on Atlanta. Just put it out there.
I
I'm
am
free, but I'm very high on Atlanta.
I will say I was a little shocked. I don't know if it's like that on DraftKings, but on Bet Online, they're the favorite to win their division. And I don't know if I agree with that as a Baker Mayfield stan here. I really see the Bucs taking it. But yeah. There are a lot of things on paper. I will preface this by saying on paper for the Giants that could go really right, like the offensive line, if everyone can stay healthy. I mean, we're looking at the best and most consistent unit the team has seen in God knows how long. Obviously, you have the big name in Malik Neighbors now, a wide receiver who's going to help guys like Wan'Dale Robinson get space in the open field and just really everywhere. Obviously, you have concerns like the fact that we're going into year 6 of Daniel Jones off a torn ACL. There's the secondary. I'm not very thrilled about having Adoree Jackson back. But then I could say that and go back to, again, the offensive line. Brian Burns coming back. Another season of Bobby Okereke and potentially Micah McFadden improvements. There's a lot that could go right for this team. And I'm confident enough to take the over.
The defense just has to actually the defense has to make this happen. That's the
It's the
for
corners.
Yeah.
Like I have way
like
more
you can't
confidence in
pay
them.
Lawrence, you can't pay Burns, you can't draft Kayvon where you drafted him.
Yeah.
Have that much invested in the defensive line. You took Banks in the first round last year.
Yep.
Like you can't have all these kind of high capital, whether it be contracts or draft picks, players there not deliver. The second corner spot's the big fucking who knows. We'll see if your buddy Adoree Jackson is to be adored this year. But
Okay, Stacy.
Stacy joke. That's what
Yep.
I was thinking.
but I don't know. I would not take this just because being invested in shitty teams winning games is really, really hard for the long haul of the season. No offense to the Giants.
Hey, man,
Don't
I
blame
didn't
me.
say it was a good gamble.
Hey,
I just-
don't blame me. Blame Daniel Jones. It's not my fault.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing, man.
Yeah. That's the Jones part of it. He's so bad. He's so bad. He doesn't. His fucking career year is throwing 15 touchdowns. Like,
Yeah.
and that was like okay, this is a platform. Now we're gonna like build you. Like they tried. This is what happened, right? So like that year, Dable was basically just like, okay, I don't want you to do anything, but just like we're gonna roll you out, protect the ball. We give you 2 reads. If the read's not there, throw it away, tuck and run, whatever. Like secure the ball. We're not doing anything serious. Last year they opened it up, and he's like, okay, second year in the offense. We kind of got you to a level platform where you weren't killing us every week. And now we're going to open it up. And we all saw what that looked like. He was a joke until he got hurt. And it's like, I just feel like he was so bad, except for that 1.5 against Arizona.
I was gonna say, hey man, did you see what he did against the Cardinals?
He had a historic
I
half.
saw both halves of that game actually. But like he's just I just can't get there with him. If you told me that he would be benched immediately and like even if it literally, I'm not even joking, if it's like Drew Lock, who I think is terrible,
That man stinks.
He's terrible. And I saw him outplay Daniel Jones heads up at the fucking what do you guys call that stadium? MetLife. Last year in the second half when he came in. It used to be the Meadowlands. The Meadowlands is so much more fun to say. But like I don't know. I just can't do the Jones thing. I can't be invested in watching Daniel Jones because I'm already invested in one team with the shitty quarterback. I have their over.
From New York?
Nope, not not from New York. It is actually a team that you just mentioned in our little Giants segment, and a team why I don't think the Giants will win 7 games. My New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, 7.5. I like this line. All the nerds I listen to have been in on this line. Okay, they get the Panthers twice. Like their division is the biggest sell on this. Yeah. They can easily you can go 4-2 in that division. They should be expecting to go 4-2 in that division. They should sweep the Panthers. The Panthers are still terrible, and they're going to continue to be terrible for at least another year. The Bucs, I think losing Canales is a big deal. If you they're who's now coaching the Panthers, by the way, but their head coach had in 2 consecutive seasons has gotten Geno Smith to play the best ball of his career, and has gotten Baker Mayfield to play the best ball of his career. I think Baker Mayfield had a nice season last year. I would be very, very wary, I should say, of thinking that'll translate without Canales. Again, Geno Smith, he did not drop off into a turd last year, but he clearly dropped off from where he was the year before when Canales was the quarterback's coach for him. And we saw Baker Mayfield have pretty easily the best year of his career last season. And now Canales is gone. I think the Bucs, I understand why they paid Baker, and I totally get it. I don't think it's an outrageous contract. But I think they fall off the season a little bit, even though I do like their defense. But I think that can be a split for New Orleans. I think, again, this division, the Falcons, this is the Falcons. The Falcons are they find a way every week. It's how could they lose this game? There's no way. They're up 10 with 1:35 left and they have the ball. They find a way. I don't know. I know they got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins come back from an Achilles tear. I feel like people are just glossing over this because we have to believe that Achilles ruptures no longer matter because of Aaron Rodgers injecting himself with rhinoceros fucking bones or something. But so Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles, and look on paper, I'll put it this way: Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson, we all remember what they were when they were drafted, and obviously they have been very, very poorly utilized since they've been drafted. But just because you become properly utilized, that doesn't mean Kyle Pitts is going to become the thing that we thought he was going to be coming out of college. It doesn't mean Drake London is going to now be an elite wide receiver. Bijan Robinson will be an elite running back. He's definitely shown me enough. But I don't really buy, and I still think I know they made some nice on paper moves on defense. I'm not sure Judon is as good as Judon has been. I thought last year he was injured last year, and their defense did not fall apart at all. They had the Patriots defense was fucking awesome the second half of the season last year.
Even with Christian Gonzalez, who's
oh yeah.
So I'm not sure how impactful. That doesn't mean Judon isn't good, but I'm not sure how good he really is. They signed Justin Simmons, who I still think is good. I'm a little bit worried though that the Bills could have potentially used a safety, and we're just this guy's hanging out. No, we're good. A lot of contenders could use a safety or playoff teams, and nobody went for him except for the Falcons, and they did it basically the middle of August. I don't know. Those 2 signings to me, they look nice on paper. I'm not sure how impactful they really are. And then I don't know, the whole fucking everything. Who they signed? They signed Darnell Mooney too, right? To this absurd contract.
I mean, I was going to ask, how much do you believe in their receiver room? Because after London, and if you include Pitts, it's Mooney and then Ray McLeod as your wide receiver 3.
Once a bill, always a bill.
Like, that's pretty rough. And then if you look on the opposite side of the ball, I don't love their cornerback room either. Like, I know they just extended AJ Terrell.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
They got a bit unlucky because dude, what the fuck?
Damn.
Dude, I have like my classmates.
That highline playing.
I have my do not disturb on, and they're just like
they're so popular.
They're pressing notify anyway, and I'm like, dude, I have it on for a fucking reason, man.